Welcome to PJ's at 2600 Airline Drive. Get your day started every day here at this beautiful location right across the street from Rouse's in Metairie. They got great drinks, great everything. Great place to hang out and spend a little bit of time. So make sure you check them out. We're coming to you from the mobile Ochsner Health podcast studio. They got the Andrews Institute up there. So if you have any sports medicine needs, make sure you go check them out. Check them out for all your medical needs. And if you're in the market for a new car, my guy Matt Bowers always will get you right with the best prices. We got an awesome show for you guys today. Some exciting stuff kind of going on rumor-wise with Davante Adams. We're going to break all that down, talk about all that, what it would take to get him, would it make sense for the Saints. We're going to talk about where this team stands going into the suddenly huge Monday night matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs. Team is 2-2. They're facing a banged-up Chiefs team, but being able to go on the road and win a game in Arrowhead would be a huge thing for this team. So we're going to see how they stack up against the only 4-0 team in the NFL, just a few days away from us. We're going to break some of that down, talk about a whole lot more right after this quick word from our great sponsors. Ochsner Hospital for Orthopedics and Sports Medicine on Clearview Parkway is celebrating 5 years of exceptional achievements. The hospital's integrated team has successfully performed over 20,000 surgeries using the latest in cutting-edge technology. With nationally recognized services and impactful partnerships, they continue to lead the advancement of orthopedic and sports medicine care in our region.
Rouse's Markets is voted best grocery store in New Orleans, best grocery store in Baton Rouge, Mississippi, Gulf Coast, Thibodaux, Houma, Hammond, Lake Charles, Mobile, year after year. Thank you for choosing us best grocery store on the Gulf Coast. Number one. Thank you.
Thank you.
The number one grocery store
In Mississippi, Alabama,
Louisiana. 1 million customers a week can't be wrong. Welcome to Rouse's.
The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out. NewOrleans.Football is proudly sponsored by Urban South Brewery, the makers of Paradise Park Lager. I love supporting local breweries, and when looking for a refreshing, easy drinking beer, I always recommend Paradise Park. In fact, I think it might be the best game day beer out there. If you want something a little lighter, try Paradise Light. It's everything I love about Paradise Park with just 96 calories and 2.6 carbs. And if you're looking for a family-friendly place to watch the game, I'd recommend Urban South's Tap Room in the Lower Garden District. They've got 15 TVs, 30 unique beers on tap, and mouth-watering urban smash burgers. The whole family will want to make Urban South their new living room, because at Urban South, they take laid back seriously. Looking for the best insurance coverage at the lowest price? Look no further than Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. They are a local independent insurance agency right here in New Orleans, specializing in home, flood, and auto insurance. Their agents are born and raised in the area and understand our community's unique needs and the homeowners insurance crisis our residents are currently in. At Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, their dedicated team will shop every available carrier in the market, ensuring you get the most comprehensive coverage at the lowest possible price. They know your time is valuable, which is why they work diligently to provide you with the quotes as soon as possible. Why settle for less when you can have the best? Trust Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, to protect what matters most to you. I do. I've been a client of theirs since 2021. When we couldn't find someone to insure our house because of the big oak tree growing over top, Chabert worked until they found someone that would work with us and give us the protection that we need to feel safe in our new home. Call them today at 504-326-6526 or visit them online at Protected by Chabert. That's 504-326-6526. Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, your local insurance experts. Hardhide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey is an 86 proof blend of aged wheat bourbon, American light whiskey, and fresh Ponchatoula strawberries. Blended in New Orleans, it is not for the thin-skinned. Look for it in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. NewOrleans.Football is proud to be sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Make sure you check out their location on Veterans Boulevard. Attention Saints fans, don't let pests and termites invade your home field. Trust the team at Red Pest Solutions to tackle those unwelcome visitors. Call the Red Man today for unbeatable pest and termite control. Score peace with no pest. Visit redpest.com, REDDPEST.com. All right, let's get into the show. And not to shortchange Minnesota, the other 4-0 team, but
You're predicting they won't be undefeated by the time the Saints play
sure,
the Chiefs.
Sure.
Yeah,
Two undefeated teams. So I got a blind spot for Sam
actually,
Darnold right now.
The Chiefs will be the only 4-0 team in the NFL when that game is played, no matter
there
what.
There we go. Yeah,
they'll be the only 4-0 team.
Right. Yeah, we're only wrong when we can't talk our way out of it. That's a great thing about sports media. I'm Nick Underhill. He's Brandon Thomas. He's Mike Triplett. What do we got?
Let's get into our first segment presented by Aaron Rose. This became a topic a couple weeks ago. You know, the Raiders, they had some things going on with players on the sidelines, but as time went on, yesterday it seemed like just a whole can of fuel was dumped on top of the fire. Davante Adams asked for a trade out of, I was about to say Oakland because they used to be in there, but Las Vegas. But what would it take for the Saints to get Davante Adams?
No pro sports left in Oakland. It's a weird time, man. No, they're all gone. Golden State, even they're out of the area now. Nobody left in Oakland. It's kind of crazy. Kind of crazy to think about. Shout out to the Bash Brothers. Maybe the Saints can get their own version of the Bash Brothers with I don't know. Davante Adams would be a great.
I think they'd complement each other. I mean, we've got a lot to talk about, but one of the things that has come up is Saints already have a wide receiver one. They would fit well together. But continue.
Yeah. I don't even know what that. I know what it means, but I don't know what it means either at the same time. Both guys would get there. Like Shaheed and Olave both got 8 catches. I think it was 8 or 9. I think they both had 8 against the Falcons. I mean, there's enough to go around for everybody. I think you'd maybe shift a little bit, maybe throw a couple more times a game, but I think they fit. I think everybody would be fine. I think that it would all blend together. I think it's a move they should really consider making. And I'm not saying that the Saints are a player away. I think they're multiple players away. I think they need a pass rusher. I think they need guys on the offensive line. But I've steadfastly said since the end of last season, since it became clear Mike Thomas's tenure here was over, they need a third guy to catch passes. They don't have that third guy. They're getting nothing out of their tight end position. They got 2 guys. They don't really have anybody other than Olave that I necessarily trust in a physical situation. I don't know that they have anybody that I would consider a quote-unquote red zone threat. Obviously, there's a lot of ways to score down there, but there isn't a necessarily like, oh, no, everybody's covered. Let me, throw it up, and he's going to go get it. Like, that isn't there right now. Maybe in doses at times with Juwan, or we've seen Fox, but there isn't that guy. You don't have that type of player right now. But my overarching point is I don't think there's really anybody in the NFC that's a player away. I think there's Detroit. The Vikings, like we said, are 4-0. I don't think they're a great team overall. I think they're probably a little bit flawed. I think it's just a bad conference, and I think anybody. There's a lot of teams. If you give them Davante Adams, all of a sudden they go from being fringe to oh wow, they could be one of the final 4 teams in the NFC. And I think that's worth something. I wouldn't do it on a 1-year deal, but if you could get them and you get them to agree for a second year, and you open this window up, and it's all right, see what happens this year, run it back next year, try to add a couple guys on the offensive line, maybe draft an end, and see where you're at. It's a very piss poor conference. The NFC's bad. There aren't a lot of good teams. It's Tampa last year. They get in, they win a game. There isn't.
Tampa this year might be one of those. Actually, they're a team that might not need Davante Adams with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Not that they couldn't use him.
Throw them in the mix, though, man. Yeah. Go play more 11. You give them, they're an even better team, harder to defend. I think it's kind of a race to hey, who can cover up the most flaws. I don't think it's there's a juggernaut that everybody's chasing.
Philadelphia's in that mix. San Francisco obviously is in that mix. But we just saw the Saints play Philadelphia, and we didn't think that's an unbeatable team at all. So Dallas obviously is not unbeatable. Look, a couple things with Davante Adams. What you just said was all wonderful, but nobody disagrees that this team would be way better with Davante Adams. I mean, yes, my number 1 choice for the Saints would be an offensive lineman, a right tackle preferably, but any offensive lineman would be number 1. You can make an argument that a Davante Adams type player would be the thing they need second most. Pass rusher, maybe. I don't know, especially if you got a pass rushing defensive tackle. But anyway, the need, absolutely there. The fit, absolutely there. Makes you a playoff contender? I think absolutely yes. I mean, they're not 1 player away, but you're a lot closer with Davante Adams. The question goes back to the question of the offseason, which was we kind of applauded this team for showing restraint in the offseason. The only people they spent money on were 25 and under. They didn't use any future draft capital. They didn't trade up in the draft. They're resetting their salary caps a little bit. They're saving their draft picks for the future. It was all great. And I kept saying I don't want to see them invest money in just this year's team. But even though I think I was the loudest in saying that, and I think I had the lowest record prediction for this team, even though everybody's so down on the Saints right now after those 2 losses, I've kind of changed my tune on that. I think this is a really good team. I really think this is a good Saints team.
I think they're a playoff contender without them.
That is. I think it's worth a smart investment. I hate the idea of it being just this year only if they couldn't work out a contract extension with them, but I don't mind going for it with this team. I don't mind going for a player like this, depending on the parameters of the deal. But if it's a second-round pick and the Raiders pay some of the money, or if it's a third-round pick and you have to figure out the money, I don't hate it. I kind of like it.
Yeah, I mean, like, the thing is I agreed with all that stuff too, and then I think the situation just kind of changed a little bit. It's like, man,
new information.
The NFC feels really, really broken right now. Like, there just does not feel like there's a lot of good teams. And then you see them, and it's like, boy, they could have beat Philly. They should have beat Atlanta. Like, I know they didn't, and a good team finds a way to win those games and all that stuff, and they could lose the next 2, and the locker room could shatter, and it could be a terrible situation. But I think the potential is there. Like, I think if they can find their way out of this and they keep the right mindset regardless of what happens the next 2 weeks, I think it's a playoff team. I think they're good enough to do that. The next 7 games they'll probably be favored in damn near every single one of them. I don't know.
Next 7 games after the next 2.
Yeah,
after the
next I think it's worthwhile to do it, and I think if you give him like there's a chance. I mean, I don't think you like Super Bowl contender, like, but like good team that can make the playoffs and see what happens.
Well, to your point about the NFC, not to put words in your mouth, but I think what you're saying is this is a year where if you're a 10-7 team, field's wide open. Yeah, you don't have to be the 1 seed. You can be the 4 seed that wins the NFC South at 10-7 and that gives you a real path.
Once I seen San Fran kind of break, and it was just like, wow, okay, like this could, like, anyone could do it. And then you see him play, and it's like, did they win the offensive coordinator battle this offseason? Did they end up hiring the best
Chicago.
one out of the bunch? Okay, wow, they're hiding all these guys. All right, cool. The offensive line's banged up right now, but like, what if you're a good team and Eric McCoy comes back and then you hit the ground and you're kind of rolling? Then I don't know. There might be a chance. Look, I'd say it like this, though. Like, I would probably add an offensive lineman first. I would probably add a defensive end second, and then I'd probably go the wide receiver third. But you have to take what's available. And there probably isn't a Davante Adams level offensive lineman available. It's probably somebody's backup if you can make a trade for somebody. Nobody's trading a starter right now. Nobody's trading a starting defensive end. If you could go get one of those guys, great, but you can't. So what's available to you, that you could get him. I think he changes your fortunes quite a bit. And I'm not down on Rashid Shaheed or anything. I think it's just we know what he is. And in a tightly contested game, let's say a playoff game, you make the playoffs. Everybody's defending a little bit tighter. It's a little bit more physical. It's a little bit more intense. Who are you throwing to in a contested catch situation if it's not Olave? Where are you going with the ball? Like, there is nowhere to go with it. I think you need him. And if he wants to play for you, do it. Now, we were talking earlier today about the cost. Like, obviously, you don't want to be paying him $35 million a season, which his contract is written for. But I think if you
Which is what he's doing the next 2 years. This year, it's $19 million. Only 13 and a half
an extension,
left.
though.
Affordable.
Yeah, in an extension, though. Like, you don't want to pay him probably $30 million. But to me, if you can get them to, like, pay down his contract to, say, $8-9 million for this year, and then you sign him next year for, I don't know, 28, and then it's a $36 million over X amount of 2 years for 30 games where you're paying $36 million for 30 games, I think that's a great value. I would do that. I think you could make this work out. You'd have to pay a little bit more to get them for that, for them to eat salary, sort of like what they did with Bradley Roby. But I like that. I like the value if you look at it that way. I think it's a good opportunity, and I would do it. I would tack a year on to Alvin and then just kind of go for it over the next 2 years, and then at that point you're done. Like, you're done with this older core.
Yeah, and look, anybody who's followed both me and you separately for years when we were separate, together, since the three of us have been together, I think they would know our track record is when superstar player hops in the rumor mill, hey, blank is available. Should the Saints get him? We're not an automatic, go get him, Saints, go get him, Saints. This is leading our show today because this is very real. I mean, him and Derek Carr are super close, played together in college. Davante Adams specifically wanted to go to the Raiders to play with Derek Carr. They played well together, even though that team did not reach its peak. And the Saints receivers coach, Keith Williams, is Davante Adams' personal receivers coach, who he calls like a father figure to him. They're super close. Like, there are real reasons we're discussing this. The fit could be really good this year, next year, whatever. It could be a really good fit. It really could be.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting times, man. It's exciting times. A high-caliber player like that potentially coming to this team is very exciting. Now,
Yeah, I think it'd be hard to pull it off. I mean, look, it'll be a hard trade to pull off, especially there's going to be competition. The Jets can take him and take on the whole salary if they want to, which, that could be more doable for the Saints to do it. They would have to pay more to make him pay it down. I do think and I'm not in the man's pockets or anything, but there's been stories before about Mark Davis not having a lot of money, like not having a lot of liquid cash. So to do that, he would need to be able to pull, $7-8 million cash out of his pocket and hand it over. I don't know if he can do that or not. I mean, I know he's trying to sell a piece of the Raiders to Tom Brady for under market value.
So a three-way deal. Tom Brady pays off, and he's in.
Yeah, I mean, look, to do it though, that's what you would have to make happen. So I think that's probably a little bit of a hurdle somehow. So that, and hey, he might. No, I'll just take the third. Like he might not want to take that money out of his spot. I don't know. So I mean, that's something that you do have to think about. Overall, they came out and said a second-round pick. I don't think anyone with the cap space pays a second. I don't think they do it. I think anyone with the cap space is probably a third. If you don't have the cap space, I think it's probably takes a second to get them to eat some salary. But for the Saints to do it, they would need him to eat some salary. I don't even know if they could get him under the cap really without him doing it, unless you agree to something beforehand to where you're like converting the money before he ever comes over.
Let's go into our next segment presented by Rouse's and roll the clock back. We've seen incredible highs. We've seen head-scratching lows. What is this team's identity through the first 4 weeks of the season?
I think they're a team that runs the ball, and I think that's their identity. They're a team that runs the ball. They work off of play action. I think defensively they need to find, obviously they cover well, I think, up front. They need to get back to it. They're doing way too much three-man rush, I think. Last year they started out that way and then eventually kind of got to where they were blitzing more at the end of the season. They played better defense. They're doing the same thing again where it's like not enough blitzing. It's simulated pressures where you're bringing four. I think you need the fifth guy coming. I think they play better when they do it because the four ain't getting there. So it's great to simulate it. It's great to try to confuse them. I just don't think it's impactful enough. And that's to me, that's a big issue. They need to figure that out. But yeah, I think that the team's identity is that, and I think their identity is part of it's not what they want to be. They're a team that can't close games. I think that's a real part of their identity right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, offense and defense, you almost split it up. Defense is a little bit of a quandary because they're not getting the pass rush, but they're getting the results. They're not giving up points in these games. It feels unsatisfactory a little bit, but you don't need to drastically change because they're not giving things up on the back end. Their linebacker play and their secondary play is really good, except for obviously that last 1 minute drive in Atlanta. So it's kind of like you wish the pass rush was getting there, but at the same time, they haven't given up points to anybody really this entire season. But offense, I think it's clear that they have an identity. Like you said, they like to run the ball. It's been so as advertised. Everything that we thought that this Kubiak Shanahan type of offense was going to do, they've done it exactly like they said they were going to do it. It's worked out even better than we thought it would. And, I mean, I feel like I'm on more of an island than I realized I was after that game. Kevin and I just did a members-only pod where we were on two very different sides, but, man, I walked away encouraged by the offensive performance against Atlanta. I thought it made me feel just as good about Kubiak and Dennison and all those guys as the first two games made me feel.
I leaned over to you in the second quarter and I said, holy shit, I think they're actually good. I think they're actually good on offense.
And it wasn't just the first two drives. It was after Taysom Hill got hurt and after they fell behind 20-14, they still came back and put together three drives that got either scored points or got to the 7-yard line in a row to finish the game. So I really like this offense, and I think it knows what it is. I think this is a team that, as we stand here on October 1st, I feel better about them than I've felt about a Saints team on October 1st in 4 years. I don't like that they're 2-2 and that they botched two opportunities. That makes me worry about They might come one game short of where they need to be at the end of the season, but from here on out, I feel better about them than I felt about a Saints team on October 1st since 2020.
I can't disagree. I can't disagree with a piece of that. Like I hate how they're closing these games, but I think ultimately they'll figure that out at some point. I don't think they're going to blow every game as a one-score game, and if they do, then you ring the alarm. I'm concerned about it in that when you look back, there's a little bit of a trend. I'm less concerned about it when you look back and you actually see how they all happened, and they're all kind of a little bit different. The last two I kind of put in the same bucket, but like Cincinnati, you miss a tackle. I mean, that's not the same as what kind of just happened here. So there's some different things. Tampa Bay, they're playing going back 2 years. It's Tom Brady.
The Ingram game.
Yeah, I mean you're playing too deep, and he just kind of picks you apart down the field. Like I don't know, it's Tom Brady. Like there's a little bit of a trend here. I don't like the trend, but I'm not convinced that it's there's bag cancer in there.
Well, again, when we talk about offense and defense separately, it's too bad they didn't win this game, because I think we'd be talking about how impressed we were by the offense's resilience in this game. We saw an offense come back that was something we hadn't seen in a long time. Like I said, they were down 20-14. Then they traded field goals, I think. Then they got down to the 7, and when they didn't score, it felt like, oh, they're going to run out of gas. Then the defense got the 3 and out. Then the offense went back down again, scored the touchdown. I mean, it was so much resilience, so much confidence, so much belief. It's a shame that one penalty had everyone in the locker room talking about we're a team that can't win, because they spent 30 minutes finding a way to win that game and then 1 minute blowing it, and they walked away saying we're a team that can't win. It's too bad, because I think that would have been a real confidence builder if they had made one more play.
Yeah, I think they were frustrated though more. Yeah. It wasn't we felt their locker room like in very dejected states last year, and I don't think it was dejected. It was kind of more like Olave standing there being like, "Yeah, we've been talking about this for years. I don't want to hear it no more." It was more like, "Just stop. Like I don't want to. I'm not trying to hear all." It wasn't like, oh no, poor us, like we're screwed, we're never going to figure this out. It was just like, I'm sick of talking about this, like shut up, I don't want to hear it no more.
Only wins matter.
Yeah. So I was kind of that was kind of the vibe. AK, he's the guy I always point to in these moments. He didn't have any of that going on. Like, last year it'd be like we're the dumbest team ever, like da-da-da. Like he wasn't doing none of that. It was just kind of like, yeah, we lost the game, like we should have won it, we're going to figure it out. Like that's kind of more like what the vibe was in there a little bit. But it stinks that they're in the spot, because I think there's a very realistic possibility, and I'm not saying they will lose them both, but it's realistic that they lose both these games. I mean, and then what? And then where are they at?
They're going to be the underdogs in both.
Yeah. Where are they at? Like, how do you look at it at that point? And I actually do kind of believe they're a good team right now, but if they're 2-4, they aren't. Right. So it's weird. It's a weird place to be.
Well, I shouldn't say they're going to be the underdogs. I'm down on playing Tampa's playing tomorrow night and then gets 10 days of rest. The Saints are playing Monday night and get 5 days of rest. But the Saints will be the home team in that game, so maybe the Saints will be favored.
You guys aware of who the leading quarterbacks are in the NFC right now?
Baker, Darnold,
Geno, and Jaden Daniels.
JD5 going on.
That's a list where Derek Carr's name belongs. That's when you're talking about his contemporaries.
And Goff just had a perfect game the other night. It's
in that list, though. Like, that's where you're saying. And you're probably saying his name before maybe all. Like, you might put Geno first. Baker, I guess, is a coin flip right now.
Yeah, but I'm putting him ahead of Darnold.
Yeah, he's playing great. He's playing great football.
He's the one every fan base would want right now. Well, whenever the fan bases have been wanting to rebuild, they want to be a team with the Jaden Daniels.
That's the guy.
Easier said than done. Washington's been trying for 35 years.
Do the Bears want Jaden Daniels? The Bears fans want Jaden Daniels right now?
Ooh, I bet they do.
I mean, I would.
It's 4 games in. I don't. We'll see how it lasts.
I'd probably still want Caleb Williams over Jaden Daniels, just because. I mean, I don't want to speak it into existence, but the style of play that Jaden Daniels plays with, longevity would concern me.
I think he had the highest selling jersey last week or something like that.
You know what made me nervous about JD though? Like if I'm a Bears fan, like just because of what happened last year, it's like, oh my God, like like the second guy really can be better than the first. But it's Caleb's like obviously already better than Bryce Young, but JD's playing great right now.
Yeah. Let's go into our next segment presented by New Orleans New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company. Speaking of the resilience of the offensive line, man, they came in. You had pieces like Shane Lemieux and Landon Young get injected into the starting lineup. Kind of after further review, what did the offensive line look like?
Look, I realized this before the game, but they were saying it after the game. I didn't realize Landon Young had never actually played right guard in a real game, only the preseason, and Shane Lemieux had never done it in a real game either. I knew they were their secondary positions, but it's the first time either guy had ever done it in an NFL game, and the offense went above and beyond way more. I mean, it's just a reminder that you can – these are at least NFL caliber players, guys who've been around for 4 or 5 years in the NFL, and smart coaches who can make it work. So – from that end, it fortified my belief that even the injuries and the lack of depth and the lack of proven talent on the offensive line, the Saints can still survive it. But as I'm sure Nick will detail, they schemed their way around it. I mean, Derek Carr got rid of the ball so fast that entire game. On closer look on a lot of plays, Derek Carr was under pressure a lot of times. I don't think Trevor Penning has figured it out yet. But it's just a reminder that they were good enough that good coaching can survive with them.
I think there was enough there that it was a little bit concerning.
Yeah.
I think who they played helped a little bit. I'm real worried about Monday night. Monday night.
Chris Jones.
Chris Jones against some guys. It's a terrifying proposition. I don't think the interior guys really played great.
Yeah.
You kind of there's within context. So they did enough and it was fine. They found a way to win with them. You got it done. But I think over a long-term period, it's a little bit. It's definitely
not a little bit concerning.
It's a little bit worried. It wasn't like, oh yeah, they got this. I'm not worried about it this week. I'm real concerned about it. There was a lot of pressure. Landon Young gave up a lot of pressure. Shane Lemieux gave up a lot of pressure. Both those guys. I mean, to his credit, Lucas Patrick kind of a solid guy. He didn't give up a whole lot. They blocked good enough in the run game. It's good enough to get by. There's a workable model with them, but it's going to be a consistent issue until Caesar's back, and I think that's probably a couple weeks away.
It's going to be a consistent issue when Caesar's back.
Yeah,
I mean,
Caesar hasn't been shut down either.
He hasn't been shut down, and he's still going to be playing next to probably Lemieux at center and Penning at right tackle. So
this is how these types of teams live, though. I was writing the stories during the offseason about how all the other teams that run this offense have bad offensive lines, and they just kind of find a way to make it work, and they get around it, and they do. They have really smart coaches now, and they're going to find a way. I just don't know. There's some people that you're going to run into that you just can't get away with it against, and I worry that Chris Jones is one of them guys.
So instead of a full-on Band-Aid, it's more like a napkin with a piece of tape wrapped around it?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Total Maintenance is one of the largest locally owned home and commercial service providers in South Louisiana. They were founded in 1980 and serve the greater New Orleans and Baton Rouge markets. And Total Maintenance wants to show some love to our NOF listeners. They have a membership program that gets you 2 tune-up visits for AC and heating, as well as club membership discounts of 15% on all repairs, half off of all diagnostic charges, and 3-year warranties on most repairs for membership clients. This is usually priced at the low price of $24.95 a month per system, but if you tell Total Maintenance that you found them through NOF, they'll lower the price to $20.95 per month per system for as long as you keep the membership active. It will never increase. Total Maintenance has a tune-up special running this summer for $79, down from the normal price of $179. This is a one-time offer for one system only. They also offer a free diagnostic on second opinions on units deemed to be unrepairable, and they offer free estimates for replacements as well as commercial maintenance programs. Services include AC and heating service and replacement, electrical service, plumbing service, as well as generator service and installation. They are Total Maintenance. Find them at tm-ac.com or give them a call at 504-841-3300, or if you're in the Baton Rouge area, 225-480-1000. Martin Wine and Spirits is home to a selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and much, much more. They are family owned and operated since 1946 and specialize in wine, spirits, gourmet food, gift baskets, catering, and tasting events. They have many locations, so they're never too far away. You can check them out in Metairie, New Orleans, Mandeville, and Baton Rouge, or if it's more convenient, you can always shop online. Whether you're a wine novice or a seasoned collector, you'll enjoy the Martin Wine and Spirit experience.
Score big with kickoff combos at New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company. Comes with fried shrimp and your choice of soft-shell crab traditional or our famous thin-fried catfish, all served with garlic herb fries, starting at only $10.99. Only at New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company.
Saints score! Score big with Saints Score. Win up to $100,000. Enter the second chance drawings for cool Saints prize packages. Play Saints Score scratch-offs from the lottery.
All right, guys, it's the best time of year. Football's back. We're talking NFL Sundays, college football Saturdays, and the glorious grind of fantasy football lineups. This is where your inner GM comes alive. Setting the perfect fantasy roster, screaming at your TV, and making last-minute waiver moves that either make you a hero or the guy everyone ridicules in the group chat. But listen, while you're over here making sure your fantasy team is dialed in, don't let your personal grooming become the guy that gets left on the bench. Let's be honest, nobody wants to fumble their grooming routine. That's where Manscaped's Performance Package 5.0 Ultra comes in, acting as your all-in-one grooming playbook. From keeping things sharp down below with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra to taking care of those rogue nose and ear hairs with the Weed Whacker 2.0. This is the lineup that'll keep you looking and feeling like a champ on and off the field. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for kickoff by heading over to manscaped.com. Use the code New Orleans, that's one word, for 20% off and free shipping. Trust me, you'll be drafting the real MVP of grooming this season.
There's nothing quite like the feeling of stepping into your dream home. At Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union, we can help make that dream a reality with a team dedicated to you. When you partner with Jefferson Financial, you do so for the life of the loan. Having a single point of contact when questions arise is invaluable. Our experts are here to guide you every step of the way. There's no better time to invest in your future. Apply online at jeffersonfinancial.org. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
Whether you are a local New Orleanian or a fan in town for the game, get your pre- and post-game fired up at Aaron Rose. Local chaos and local love for the black and gold. Wake up and live with daily drink specials, mimosas, screwdrivers, Bloody Marys, and hot or frozen Irish coffees, all just $3 or $4 between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Aaron Rose, half a block from Bourbon Street in the French Quarter, 811 Conti Street.
Welcome to the Queen Casino, the crown jewel of entertainment destinations. From the thrill of gaming, where every spin and deal brings you closer to fortune, to the excitement of sports betting, where you can feel the rush of victory. Our spaces and catering menu are perfect for any event. From business meetings to grand celebrations, immerse yourself in our vibrant atmosphere with live music that keeps the party going all night long. Join us at the Queen Casino. Your royal adventure awaits.
Welcome into the Oshner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute podcast studio here at 2600 Airline Drive. PJ's Coffee. Come check them out if you need some coffee or if you just want to chill out. It is now time for our next segment presented by Urban South. The Chiefs, they lost one of their top playmakers in Rashee Rice, and they're still coming back from some injuries. Do Kansas City injuries make this a more winnable game for the Saints?
Oh, no doubt. It's not just him. It's Pacheco's out. Hollywood Brown's out for forever. I don't know how long he's out.
He's never been a Chief.
Rashee, he was kind of the he felt like the foundational piece
of their whole offense.
He
wasn't the foundation of their offense. He was their offense.
He's gone. They got Kelsey going right now. He made some plays last week. I don't know what the deal is with him. I don't know if he's old and washed. I don't know if they're trying to use him like Shaq at the end of his career, where he just kind of plays his way into shape to the playoffs.
I was thinking Dennis Rodman.
Not Celtics Shaq.
No,
I was thinking Dennis Rodman on those Bulls teams. But they let him go to Vegas for a week.
But Shaq would just kind of show up, miss some time.
On the Heat.
Yeah, he just get into shape for the playoffs. I don't know if that's what they're doing with Kelsey. I don't know what the deal is, but they can't do that anymore. But I do feel like they have a decent shot because of them injuries for sure. I mean, it makes it easier, but I mean that's still Patrick Mahomes, and they're still 4-0, and they're still getting it done. And I don't know. Everybody kind of thought last year they were done, and they just kept winning games and winning the Super Bowl. So
they didn't just keep winning games. So the one hope for the Saints is that this is a regular season game. If this was a playoff game, then I'd say the Saints have no chance. The Chiefs, The Chiefs, they fell to the 3 seed last year, they haven't lost any of these. Every week it looks like the Chiefs just don't care about the regular season. They're like, yeah, if we lose, whatever. That's how this team comes across. But if the Saints' biggest problem is they don't know how to finish a game, the Chiefs know how to win a game. They're like, we're going to give 75%. It's going to come down to the last series. We're willing to risk losing it, but we'll probably win it.
What's the going against the Chiefs and a Kansas City officiating crew? What's the over/under on the Adebo flags this week?
Oh man, he's gonna be in pregame warmups. They're gonna just practice throwing flags at him at his back.
That poor guy, man. He's not gonna get away with nothing.
Man. That's a really good point. No, look, Rashee Rice is
4.5. 4.5.
I go higher than I'll go over.
Rashee Rice is about as significant of an injury as you can imagine for any top contender in the NFL because of the volume of the offense that's gone through him. I do think more will go through Kelsey now. They need him right now. But yeah, I think it makes the Chiefs human. I think the three things that stink are they know how to win close games. They've got the coach and the quarterback, and as we said, they've got the guys on the defensive line who can take advantage of the Saints' biggest weakness.
Yeah, and like you said, they know how to win close games, and they've had no dominant games this season. That first game against the Ravens, they only won 27-20, and that's because of a big toe. Cincinnati, they won 26-25. Atlanta, 22-17, and then last week against the Chargers, who are very beaten up, they only won 17-10. So the Chiefs are still the Chiefs, no doubt about it, but they're not.
Yeah, they're unimpressive right now.
Right.
Yeah.
I need to verify this stat.
I thought Atlanta played them pretty tough too.
Yeah. I heard it this week that dating back, including the playoffs, the Chiefs have won 10 straight games by a total of 61 points. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. You got something else? You good? All right, let's go to our next segment presented by Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union. Can the Saints blank another tight end, which would be Travis Kelce, after shutting down Kyle Pitts? He was almost non-existent last week.
I don't think shut him down, but we saw what they can do when they put the focus on the tight end. They were doubling Pitts like the whole game, and he couldn't do anything. He was just kind of choked out of the game a little bit. They were trying to do it against Goddard on that last play, and they had it would have worked too if you watch that play. Like they had the bracket coming, and he might even jump the route. Like if it worked the way they wanted it to. Like it just didn't. And so they had the right vision. I think obviously going into this game, he's going to be the focus of it. You got to make sure Worthy doesn't beat you down the field.
Yeah.
The Tyron injury is kind of a huge deal, though. Like, if he doesn't play, I'm very concerned about their ability to kind of do these different things. So that's going to be a huge thing early in the week. He was at the facility earlier, so I don't know.
He was talking after the game. I mean, it didn't seem like.
Well, he said after he kind of left it. He said, I don't really have a history of missing games, but like we're going to see. Like he didn't shut the door.
Yeah.
So we're going to see on that. But yeah, I mean, I think they can have a good plan against him. I don't think there's. If he's their focal point, he's going to get open. And there's stuff he does against zone that's just kind of you're just going to give some up. But, like, can you stop big plays and stuff like that? Can you stop him on third down? I think it's definitely possible.
Kyle Pitts, what they did against Kyle Pitts means nothing to me compared to Travis Kelce because for some reason Kyle Pitts in general in his career has been one of the biggest disappointments of the decade.
Yeah.
And against the Saints, Kyle Pitts has never done anything. Like, I thought a new coordinator, new quarterback there, they'd have a different plan for Kyle Pitts, but he's just such an anomaly that Kyle Pitts is, like, never a factor against the Saints. But Kelce will be. Kelce's going to get catches. It is going to be a lot more like the Goddard matchup. As we mentioned after that Eagles game, Goddard had 7 catches for 80 yards at halftime. And they really started clamping down on him when they made a halftime adjustment, and then even more when Davante Smith went out. And they said he's the only guy we have to stop. Still got that playoff, but they did a better job against him after they were willing to just give him all those catches the first half. And maybe there'll be an element to that with Kelce since he's not a game breaker. Maybe they'll let him get 6 catches for 60 yards as long as they're not giving stuff over the top or whatever. But he's still gonna get a lot. I mean, with no Rashee Rice, Kansas City's offense is gonna go through Kelce in this game.
I don't care if he has time for 100 if nobody else is eating.
Exactly. And I bet they allow that.
Yeah, he's gonna get some. Like he's too savvy. They have too good of a connection, and they they have to throw him the ball. Like there's nowhere else to go with it. But yeah, I mean, I think they can possibly contain him.
I never really got your take on this. Overall, all time, where does Kelsey rank at with the tight ends for you?
He's
you
top
covered
5.
Gronk.
He's top. I mean, I got to take Gronk number 1 for sure. Like for sure, just the ability to block is like Kelsey can't block like that. Gronk was game changing in his receiving ability. He's the best all around tight end all the time to me. I probably put Tony Gonzalez probably ahead of Kelsey too. Okay. And then contemporary guys obviously there's the old time. I never watched some of these older guys. I probably have Kelsey number 3 on that list.
Okay, where are you at, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't thought about it enough to have a strong opinion. Jason Witten's 4th in NFL history in catches too, or something like that. I guess he's somewhere in the conversation. I feel like it comes down to Kelsey, Gronk, and Gonzalez. That's fair. I mean, obviously we have to credit Jimmy Graham. He touched the sun as high as any of those other guys did. He just didn't sustain it for quite as long as those other guys. But it comes down to those 3 guys. And
who are your 3?
Gonzalez, Gronk, and Kelsey. I think it comes down to those 3 guys. I don't think there's
Antonio Gates was probably
about to say Antonio
yeah,
Gates
but I think those 3 surpassed him. I mean, Kelsey might be number 1. I think the biggest argument against Kelsey is that he did it with Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid.
You can't block though. Like Gronk's ability to block is absolutely game. Like it's absolutely game changing. You can do everything with him on the field. You don't have any tells, and he's elite receiver and elite blocker.
Yeah, he's number 1.
You can't compare to that. Gates is somewhere in there. I think he's 3rd in all-time receiving yards for tight ends. He's in there somewhere for me. But it's the contemporary guys, it's them and everybody else. Jimmy had the highs, but it wasn't. It's not. He's not getting through the velvet rope. Unfortunately, if he'd spent his whole career here, maybe, but no chance. But Jimmy and Kelsey are kind of the same to me, and I think Kelsey's probably a little bit of a better blocker, but that style, whereas Gronk blocked as well as a friggin' tackle. He was that good.
Yeah. Yep. Let's get into our next segment presented by Shawbear Insurance, the Earhart Agency. It's been 5 weeks. Kendre Miller, he's scheduled to return. So how will Kendre Miller fit into the Kubiak offense?
Oh, man, Dennis Allen yesterday. Dennis Allen has not relented on his feelings on Kendre Miller. I asked him, first of all, Dennis Allen was asked about Kamara getting 28 touches, then 26 touches, and how nobody else is, making plays for this team besides Kamara, Olave, and Shaheed and Taysom Hill when healthy. And he said, look, we need more guys to make a play. And I followed up by saying, could Kendre Miller be part of that mix now that he's eligible to come back? And he goes, I don't know. And that was his whole answer.
He said on the radio he wants to get Jamal more involved in the offense. So Kendre is going to have to prove it to him big time. And it's just weird that he won't say whether he's practicing or not either. He won't. I don't know. It's like an open nerve kind of you say it, and he just doesn't. Kendre's got a lot to prove to that coach,
now,
and I don't disagree with that feeling. He's incredibly disappointing so far. He's had one good game.
Kendre, whether it's because he got in trouble or he's trying to prove something, has been out there at practice every day for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
We don't see that from guys on IR usually. We see them around, but he is, making some sort of an effort, or he's required to be standing there every day watching practice. Chances are he's got to be 100% healthy. I know we've talked to him in the locker room. He says he's going to be good. But the guy did still miss all of training camp. He got hurt on the first day and never practiced once again in training camp, and he's missed all of the first 4 weeks. So even if he's completely healthy, and even if he, there's got to be rust. Expecting him to come in right away and be a big factor is asking a lot.
Yeah.
They don't just keep him out because they don't want him. You know what I mean? Out of disgust, would they? If he's ready to go, he's gonna go. He's
if
ready
he can
to
help
go.
this team, they'll use him. If he can help this team, they'll use him.
He told me unequivocally that he is ready to go. Been healthy, he's ready to go.
Hey man, we'll have to see.
I mean, what will he be to the offense? I think he can.
He's a theory.
Theoretical Kendre is a great concept.
Yeah.
He really is. That last game that we saw him in, kind of did everything. Average, I don't know, was it 5.3 a carry or something like that? It was a great game. Did some stuff in the passing game. Looked explosive. The idea of him putting him into this offense, putting him next to Alvin in these schemes with the design, building the run game they do. Like, the idea of him is great. And, like, the funny thing is if he comes back and he plays great this season, like, all these conversations about the running back selected in that draft, like, he's still in position to put himself in a decent spot in that conversation. Right. Tyjae Spears has the same amount of yards as Jamal Williams this season. A-Chain isn't doing anything for Miami. They're cooking him for playing 2K like, after not getting, I don't know, what do you have, 15 yards or something like that in the last game? Like, the door's still open for him to stack up favorably against the other running backs in that draft, but he has to get on the field and he has to do it. He's zeros across the board right now.
I'd still trade him for A-Chain right now. That's the one that I thought they should have done. Even if A-Chain only plays 5 out of the 17 games, the explosive element. But, yeah, look, we listed Kendre Miller as the guy who we thought would benefit most from this offensive system back in February, March, or whatever. If he figures it out, he's made to run in this scheme. So I'd love to see it. There's 13 games left in the season, plus potentially playoffs. There's plenty of time for it to happen. I just don't expect I don't expect him to make a big impact in October. He's made
Alvin Kamara the most indispensable
player.
My God. And I don't think there's a lot of things that have probably helped increase Alvin's value since the end of the season. Kendre Miller not playing and being just absolutely invisible, is one of the biggest factors right now. That just, it's like, what do you do? Like, what do you do? Like, he's made Alvin just feel even more valuable.
Yeah. Before we, I looked it up during that segment. Before we go into the next segment, we probably should have put Shannon Sharp in the conversation. He's in the Antonio Gates level of it, and for old timers, I mentioned Kellen Winslow, but Ozzie Newsome obviously deserves a lot of love. Obviously, there's Mike Ditka way back when or whatever, but Greg Olsen quietly put up a lot of really good numbers too, but he's not in that tier.
Gotcha. What was Shannon's single season high in yards?
Single season? He's 5th in receptions and 5th in receiving yards. I was looking at career numbers. Single season high. Let's see if that comes up on here. I have a bad.
He played
website.
with the Broncos, and then he played with the Ravens, right?
He played for Mike Shanahan in this system.
Yeah.
You looking it up right now?
No.
Oh, Stalwell. You know who else was a surprising? I think he was 7th all-time in catches. Zach Ertz, who's still playing now.
Oh man,
I didn't know he got.
Is he still with Arizona?
He's with Washington.
With
now.
Washington.
So the Hall of Fame monitor on Pro Football Reference, they got Tony Gonzalez is number 1 overall. They got Gronk 2nd, Kelsey 3rd, Gates 4th, Shannon Sharp 5th, Dave Casper, Jason Witten, Kellen Winslow, Ozzie Newsome, and then you're into Jackie Smith, John Mackey, Mike Ditka, Charlie
Jimmy?
Sanders, Todd Christensen, Riley Odoms, and then Jimmy Graham. But they got Jimmy Graham. They got him with 51.26 points. Tony Gonzalez has 195.43.
Oh man.
Yeah. So, we overlooked Shannon.
Gates was up last year and didn't get in yet. Is that right?
Shannon's, Shannon topped 1,000 yards 3 times. It was a different league then, though, too.
Yeah.
He's got.
But that almost makes it more impressive.
He's got 4 first.
He did it 3 times, and he did 995 once.
Yep. Well, that'll take us to our Martin Wine and Spirits question of the day. Martin's is home to a wide selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and more. Martin's so much more than just wine. We just talked about the running back, but the question is, would it be more beneficial for the Saints to have a great running back 2 or a great starting tight end?
You know what? My immediate reaction was to say tight end because I think, if they had one that could block and catch passes, it could do so much for this team. I don't think they have a true number 1. I think, Foster's done some good things, and they're using these guys as blockers so much, but obviously they need that other target in the passing game. But then the game the other night, watching Detroit, and Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery are both so good. Yeah. It feels like they have no problem incorporating both of them. You think back to Ingram and Kamara. I'll take, if you're talking about great, I'll take either one, and I think either one could make the same impact. I guess I would choose tight end, but the Saints just need a 5th offensive player at either spot, to be honest.
I would take the tight end so quick.
I'm
not vehemently disagreeing here or anything. I just think that that's so. I think it's rough right now. They aren't getting good blocking out of their tight end one. They aren't getting any receiving out of their tight end one. And I think if you make that guy better.
I think Foster's their tight end one.
Well, he should be, but he's not. But he should be. They should even run. They should run some of them passing plays to him. Like he should be. He should be tight end one right now, but he's not. But I think if you made that position better, if improved over Juwan, like just the blocking element would make your running back better.
Yeah.
Like it's just. I think they need that badly, but. It's not going to become available right now, but I would take that for sure.
And also, if Taysom Hill can stay healthy, that lessens the need for a number 2 running back a little bit, because Taysom Hill is sometimes in some form a number 2 running back himself.
That'll do it for this episode of NewOrleans.Football. We appreciate y'all for stopping in today. If you're not subscribed for the website, make sure that you're subscribed, because Nick has some breakdowns on the Davante Adams situation and more. Catch you next time. Overtime is next.